Hello, my name's Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach, and I help people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, and get rid of those symptoms instead of just having to cope. And because the brain is always trying to resolve symptoms, and it's actually very good at that when it is able. So, and when it gets the right support. And so that's really what I help people do. And today we're going to talk about that moment or the moments. What's going on with when your parents say, my childhood was 10 times worse? And gosh, there's a lot going on in there. I hear this happening a lot, and I want to talk about what's going on brain function wise. You know that this is highly dysfunctional. This is speaks to many things, and so I hope to cover it all. I'm just going to rant because I have this is rantable. Um, so I hear this, and I'm going to talk about this from the parent's brain perspective. Um, and show you what's going on. If you are actively doing this, I want you to hear what's going on in your mind, your brain, and we want you to heal and resolve this issue. If this has been something that you've experienced throughout your childhood, I'm going to also talk about what's going on and how this has affected you and what you can do, what you'll need to be doing to resolve and heal from this. So, um, all right. So parents who are saying things like my childhood was way worse, 10 times worse, or you think this is bad. Let me, if you had seen my childhood, you wouldn't be complaining right now. Um, this speaks to a lack of empathy and the lack of the parent's ability to empathize with the child, which is a very common occurrence in trauma. When people are experiencing a trauma that has occurred, it is common that they lose all empathy for other people. This is a phase. This is not anything to be ashamed of. This is most of my clients that have experienced this. They are horrified, and I'm like, okay, this is you. Where this is not a reflection of you. This is a reflection of your brain has not yet done enough processing to create empathy. Brains make empathy. As you are processing your own emotional distress, your own trauma, your brain makes empathy for you and it makes empathy for others. And the fact that a parent is saying this to a child really speaks to the fact that that parent has not processed enough trauma to make empathy for anybody else, which also says that they're also in their survival brain a lot. That survival center is not a reasoning center. It's not a center that sees things from multiple perspectives. It only sees things from one perspective, and that's survival. It only cares about its own survival. And under when trauma happens, sometimes other people's pain is experienced as a threat to their own. And so off they go into survival state, and they're guarding the available empathy like it's a limited resource because they're in a survival state. And so this is not a great time to argue with these parents. This is not a great time to intervene. Um, as a trauma therapist, I have compassion for this. I feel some sorrow and pity for this because if they were in their right mind, I would hope they would be horrified, right? This is some things that are said in the heat of the moment when survival states are at their highest, right? Or anywhere, right? It doesn't to us it can look like nothing happened. Inside their systems, they are blazing with their own memories, their own flashbacks, their own lack of empathy and compassion that they've received, their own lack of support that they've received. Like their brain doesn't even know that there's support for this, right? That when you go through a hard time, there you are, right? And it's just life, get over it. And my childhood was 10 times worse. We're comparing. It's not making connection in this thing. It's not sharing. It's not you don't want a parent from your survival system. It's really awful. You don't I would even question if you even are parenting in your survival system, in the survival state. That's why so many people are working so hard to get out of a survival state while they're parenting. And sometimes what this looks like is using lots of drugs, alcohol, lots of exercise, lots of eating, just so they can get out of a survival state and parent, right? But getting out of survival state is not the same as going through the process to help your brain resolve trauma, resolve unresolved emotions, heal, and complete the process, which actually ends is when your brain makes the empathy. And it makes the ability to say, hey, I had this experience. It was awful. My child has this experience that looks to me like it would be way better than mine. And my child's suffering. Let me attend to my child who's suffering. Brains make that. If you're not experiencing that, your brain has not made that. A lot of times, kids can stay really trying to get that empathy from the parent, right? But the parent's brain is actually not making empathy. It cannot make empathy. And you know, if you've been listening to me from any time, for any time length of time, um, there's a specific process brains go through to resolve symptoms, heal traumas, and create wellness. And that creating of wellness includes things like empathy, compassion, acceptance, connection. And we hope that they're going to do this, but if brains don't get the right support, they don't ever do this. That's why people can go along a whole lifetime and never heal. So it's so important that you understand that brains make this, and some people's brain is not making this. And this can really be helpful when dealing with parents that are not empathetic, and to really pull ourselves back from trying to get something from them that's not available, or hoping we're going to be able to get that when really their brain doesn't make that and they're not going to do the work to do that, or they're not doing it now. And that can really free us up to make decisions for ourselves that are healthier, kinder, that don't leave us in this limbo state of, I need to go be healthy, but I really want their empathy. I really want their comfort. And they really can't comfort us because they're too much in a survival state. Their trauma is taking up so much of their brain space that they don't have any empathy left to give. And like I said, I have clients that go through recent traumas where the empathy will fall off and they just don't have enough empathy for anybody. They're like, I wish I had your problem, right? But as they process, their empathy turns back on. Their brain starts creating more empathy, and that empathy is good. It is deeper. It is broader. It is richer. What brains do with trauma is phenomenal. It really is so much richer connection and deeper. Um, Gosh, and so I wish everyone would do their trauma work. I wish parents would do their trauma work because they could see that they could watch their brain make all the things they need to have healthy relationships, healthy children, healthy lives, but not quite the case. And so if you're one of those parents that's saying this, please hear me say, do your trauma work, get some help. Make that empathy. Make it. And let's not, think you're an awful, terrible person because your brain hasn't made empathy yet. But the fact that you're not empathetic is also is really causing that awful, terrible result. The pain that our children are experiencing when their parents can't reach across in an empathetic way and close the gap. And that's really what we want to see. That's what this thing is all about. Get it, heal, and resolve. And so that's I want you to look into what that looks like when brains are not in an empathetic state. My train's going to pass us by. And can and feel like it's okay to be comparing and to put themselves up on the pedestal of mine is worse, right? It's not how it works. And on a smaller level, we can all be experiencing that ourselves. Maybe one of our spouse says something and we're not very empathetic. Okay, we can slow down in there and help our brain make some empathy. because then we can see it from their perspective, which is which we can see the whole thing. We can have better solutions. We need to be able to, the more perspectives we can integrate into our plan, the more fitting it will be. So now, if you are a child of somebody who has not had any empathy, you are basically empathy deficient. And what this sets you up for is a lot of empathy seeking. This means you'll have lots of empathy seeking behaviors. This is painful to discover in yourself. This is painful to know is happening. Um, and this is not your fault. Humans require specific vitamins and minerals. And I think that there are plenty of these vitamins and minerals that are emotional. And I think empathy is one of those vitamins and minerals that we have to develop in a healthy way. And as soon as we start meeting those empathy needs, whether by ourselves or by some great strategies that we have and some great solutions, then we see some of these dysfunctional behaviors and patterns that are not working for us, that we don't like anymore, and that don't match our level of development. We see them resolve, and we see ourselves, we get to start healing and get to start trying, be free of that. And so I want you to hear me tell you that it's important to acknowledge this empathy deficiency and to acknowledge the behaviors that come from not having your basic empathy needs met. Like some of them are like excessive attention not attention seeking. I'm a huge fan of attention seeking, and I think we should have very, very healthy ways of seeking attention, and we should be good at it, which means we should be practicing it. Okay. And we are practicing it. But a lot of places have put a negative connotation on attention seeking. But if it wasn't for attention seeking, we really wouldn't have performers and artists and musicians and friendships and relationships. So please don't feel bad if you're attention seeking, please. And even with this empathy seeking, I want you to be good at receiving empathy and seeking empathy. There's lots of great skills for this. But some of the things you're going to need is you're going to find is you'll have a bigger need for excessive reassurance. You will have a bigger need for someone to validate your experience. And you're like, gosh, I still need them to validate them. Gosh, I still need to be validated. Yes. And I am doing the inner work of plenty of people. I'm helping them with their inner work. And it's such a heartbreak when you see yourself seeking validation still. And yeah, you are. And there's a reason for that. And it's okay. Let's help your brain heal right here. And all of a sudden it gets better and smarter. Sometimes we can even meet our own need for validation. Tons of brain tricks for that. And in our relationships, there are lots of strategies we can start using. It's not my skill set, but I watch brains make those strategies all the time. And I'm like, yes, great idea. Because your brain is supposed to help you solve problems, even if it means going to get more information from somewhere, finding a professional, whatever, finding the right book. As you heal, your brain will really help you do that. So, okay, let's get back into this. So we're talking about empathy deficiency. So we just talked about needing excessive reassurance, validation. There's a lot of internal insecurity that takes place because our parents are supposed to be our figures, people that we develop secure attachments to, and humans thrive with secure attachments. Humans have all kinds of mental and emotional challenges and illnesses when we don't have a secure attachment. This happens in early childhood, and we can develop these kinds of secure attachments anytime. It's not just reserved then, but it's easiest then, and developmentally, that's really when we're supposed to be doing this. And if while we're growing up, we have a parent telling us, my childhood was 10 times worse, I don't even know what you're complaining about. When we're not being attuned to, we're not getting that secure attachment, we're actually being pushed away, we're actually being told we're not as valuable, when our perspective doesn't matter, it's not as important. This causes a lot of confusion, and it actually wires us in a totally different way. When we have needs, it wires it to not that important. Go find, remember mom's stuff is more important. Not that important. Remember dad's stuff is more important. This is not good wiring. This wiring leads to a lot of dysfunctional patterns, codependence, confusion, and once it gets established, it keeps rolling. And so, if you're an adult now of this kind of relationship, this is really one of the reasons why you want to get in your inner world and help yourself heal and reprocess. Because in the reprocessing is where your wires, your brain figures out these wires are crossed in the wrong spot. Let's take these down and where do they go? I think they go here, right? And they will start. Oh no, not there, and then they'll put it in oh, it goes right here. This works. Ooh, that feels really good. And you'll start to see that rewiring and that reworking that your brain will do for you. And now you're rewiring for health, for efficiency, and your dreams. Really. It is very difficult to reach your dreams when you have empathy deficiency. I think that should be a condition. I think that it should be in the DSM-5. Note to all psychologists. Um, really, this stuff has powerful impact on us, and it's in these. I don't know if there are many more painful things to human than one not being seen, which happens right here in the empathy thing. The child is going through something. The parent has an opportunity to see them in this moment and to support them and help them process, come along beside them, and instead they stand away from them and said, "This is nothing. Mine was 10 times worse." Right? These needs for regulation and comfort and support go unmet, and the parent stands to the side. That really impacts the attachment. That's not secure attachment. That means if I go through hard things, I'm alone. And that hard things is then what is wired to I'm alone. Now we're afraid of hard things because we're afraid of being alone. Next thing you know, we're afraid to take chances and we're afraid of anything hard coming along. And this shows up to keep our life very small. And then we wonder, why can't I take some risks here? Why am I staying small? Why am I keeping, why am I underperforming? Why am I living so much under my potential? These are the kinds of things you'll find as the answer to those questions. This is the kinds of things that we see showing up when our parents cannot give empathy to us. And so it has a massive impact. It has a much bigger impact than many of us know. Last time, I think it was yesterday. I don't know days anymore. Yesterday, I talked about when you live most of your life in a survival state. This is one of the causes. This statement and this type of lack of empathy is one of the causes that nervous systems dysregulate, right? The child suffering and mom or dad says, my childhood was 10 times worse. And that's not attuning to this. That's not helping this child heal and overcome this. No, there's now they're alone and their nervous system is dysregulated. You made a statement that made it worse. And now their nervous system is learning how to be dysregulated up here and not come down. Parents are supposed to get in here, it goes up, and they're supposed to help regulate that down. And when these statements are being said, parents are making the nervous system dysregulation worse, distress higher. And many children in these moments are actually dissociating, panicking, full of sorrow, terrified, screaming inside, suffering. And these kinds of statements can really block parents from being able to wire their children's nervous system for health. And so if this is something you've experienced, I encourage you to heal. This is a phenomenal thing to resolve. If you're a parent and this is something that's come out of your mouth, hear this as your brain's not making enough empathy, and you can help it do that. And so that's really what I want to leave you all with. And so heal. It's time to heal. These are some massive problems in our lives. These are some massive things that are in the dark, right? We're not talking about them very much, but they're eating us up. And if you're the child of one of these parents and you like, but I had a really good life and I've got these challenges, if you look underneath all of this stuff, you'll probably find one of these issues. So if this is something that you want my help with, I am offering a 45-minute complimentary call to take a look at what you're dealing with, take a look at the symptoms you want to get rid of, what you want your life to look like, what your goals are, and then I will help you create a step-by-step plan to get there. So if that's something you want to take me up on, and you're somebody whose top priority is to heal and be well, absolutely grab a spot on my calendar by going to my website and this site here, rachelmcleod.com/call. And that will take you to my calendar. Grab a spot and I will call you at the time that you choose. Okay. And I will also have you fill out a small questionnaire so that you and I can both prepare for our time together. So that's the deal. This is a painful topic. It's really gosh, so many times I work with people that their parents have said this and they don't think a thing about it. And then as we start trauma processing, there's so many emotions about it. There's so much loss and grief. So, but when we're doing this healing work, it doesn't have to be a ton of suffering. It doesn't, the less painful it is, the faster this will heal. And there's lots and lots of strategies for this. So, having said that, I am going to jump off. Wonderful connecting tonight. I will see you all later. Take care.